Let man, yeah, man, we got the absolute dumbest way to lose your championship. Let's get into it.
Of the world to an inactive has-been in a single year. From knocking out the undefeated unified champ in the upset of the century to fighting only twice since 2019. Well, in the rematch, Anthony Joshua weighed in at a trim, disciplined 237 pounds, and Andy Ruiz weighed in with his shirt on. This was the moment I knew Ruiz was a one-hit wonder. After months of celebrating and casual training, he showed up in terrible shape.
Don't tell my coach.
The biggest fight of his life, and he was feeling embarrassed at weigh-ins. It's a classic cautionary tale, and unfortunately, Andy Ruiz is far from being the first, and he certainly won't be the last.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I feel like people get that one big win, and then it's like they just stop caring. I don't know. You feel me? It's like they just stop caring for some reason. I don't know, man.
The one-hit wonder is perhaps the most interesting and tragic character in boxing. For a brief moment in history, he shocks the world, becomes champion, and fundamentally challenges what we think we know about the sport. Money and fame enter the picture, and we see our newly crowned champion fly a little too close to the sun, only to collapse spectacularly and fade into obscurity. But how exactly do we define a one-hit wonder? Some champs get to defend their title once or twice, and some stay contenders until they retire. The first Joshua fight earned the Ring magazine's Upset of the Year, and that got me thinking. Going back to 1970, the Ring gave this award to the sport's most unlikely winners. The overlooked and underestimated. Fighters who shocked the world just like Ruiz. But taking a deeper look, it might spell trouble instead. Of every fighter to win Upset of the Year, 23 of them would go on to lose their immediate next fight. And for 23 of our underdogs, they would never touch a title again for the rest of their career. Roughly half failed to repeat their success, making it a complete coin toss. And this makes sense. Upsets are won by the underrated, so after their coming out party, elite opposition usually brings them back down to earth. There's also the case of the rematch. 20 of these men had the opportunity to prove it wasn't luck the first time, but of those 20, only 6 were able to win again. Andy Ruiz was not one of those 6. So it seems that Upset of the Year...
Sometimes when people upset, sometimes the champion they're facing, sometimes really not taking them seriously enough. But then they realize they're better, you know what I'm saying, than the person that's trying to win that belt, you feel me?
Can mean one of two things. You're a future Hall of Famer defying the odds, or you scored a lucky punch and your 15 minutes of fame is already ticking. Take for example the Rumble in the Jungle. Muhammad Ali was a 4-1 underdog against George Foreman, and even his own team feared for his life.
Why are you all looking so damn scared? Act like you're going to the funeral. I'm the one fighting. George Foreman. You've been believing all that stuff you've been reading about how hard he hits.
Hey, I mean, George Foreman was good though. George Foreman was that, you know what I'm saying? He was that nigga on boxing for real.
George Foreman, knocked out Joe Frazier. He destroyed the kid. The hell with George Foreman. When you get out here, if you're afraid, just smile. Just act like you're happy. I'm not gonna win the fight if I'm not thinking like you. Damn George Foreman.
But Ali would employ the rope-a-dope, tire out Big George, and ultimately knock him out to further solidify his greatness. Even though it was a major upset, Ali is the furthest thing from a one-hit wonder because he was great before and continued to be great after this fight. In 2007, unknown flyweight Nonito Donaire broke onto the scene with a violent one-punch knockout over undefeated champion Vic Darchinyan. The Filipino Flash was awarded the Upset of the Year and instead of fading away, went on to become a 4-division world champ, scoring highlight reel knockouts, holding titles for 3 consecutive decades, and always fighting the best. Donaire is the perfect example of a young boxer defying the odds and staying at the elite level into his older age. In other words, not letting the success get to his head. Then you have someone...
That's true. I really feel like when somebody wins a belt or a championship in boxing, it's like they let that get to them. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta stay dedicated and be humble because that can go away quick. Quick
Like
a light.
Marcos Maidana, I hesitate to call him a one-hit wonder because he had such a storied career before the Mayweather fights, and despite having good names on his resume, he lost his first 2 title shots. But Maidana would get his big break against Adrian Broner. You already know this story. Broner is the undefeated, loudmouth champion boxer. Maidana is the underrated, quiet puncher.
After I fuck him up December 14th, I can promise you this. It's gonna get ugly.
See, the thing is, I feel like Adrian should have been like AB. He should have been like one of the best of the best. Just all that talking, I feel like he just wasn't really humble. But like, bro, he was entertaining. Like, he was for real entertaining, y'all. Y'all know he was entertaining, bro. Just by the way he talked, he was entertaining. Like, I don't know, man.
Well, Broner got humbled. He was a 5-1 favorite, and Maidana took his belt, won upset of the year, and set up a super fight against Floyd Mayweather. A fight he would lose but do well enough in to warrant a rematch. And after 2 fights against the face of boxing, he made enough money to retire. Sure, he only made $4.5 million to Mayweather's 64, but they don't call him money for nothing. So at 31 years old, with millions in his bank account, Maidana retired. He was champ for 4 months, made a boatload of money, and
if I was him, if I was Madonna, I would have kept on going in this, racking the money up more and more and more.
Got out the game. Not quite a one-hit wonder, but something like it. Now for the sadder and much more common case. There is perhaps no greater example of a one-hit wonder than James Buster Douglas. The 42-1 underdog knocked out a prime Mike Tyson to the shock of the entire sporting world. Douglas was the new undisputed heavyweight champion, and after declining a rematch with Tyson, accepted Evander Holyfield for his first defense. Douglas arrived
Evander Holyfield, are you serious?
in Las Vegas as the man who conquered Tyson, but he wasn't the same fighter. He had the luxury villa at the Mirage and reportedly ate and drank everything under the sun leading up to the fight. The champ spent more time in the pool than in the gym. When fight night came around, he weighed in at a soft, pillowy 246. 15 pounds heavier than he had against Tyson. The fight was rough. He was slow to move around the ring and telegraphed his punches, leading to a third round knockout. Douglas retired after the bout, and just like that, his 15 minutes of fame was up. He then ballooned to 400 pounds, suffered from diabetes, and enjoyed his money. Buster Douglas began 1990 as an unknown challenger, won the undisputed championship in February, celebrated a little too much, and was retired by October. After making $26 million in a single year, I don't blame him. So it's no secret why sudden, unforeseen underdogs burn bright and then fizzle out. The great Marvin Hagler said it best. It's tough to get out of bed to do road work at 5 a.m. when you've been sleeping in silk pajamas. The same affliction that got Buster Douglas got Andy Ruiz. Training comes natural when you're the challenger, but
that is true. It does kind of natural, but then I also feel like when you win it, you got to stay humbled and try to defend the belt, not like go party and this and that just because, you know what I'm saying? Like, feel me?
when you're the champion, not so easy. In preparation for the rematch, Joshua was locked in, training hard and sparring monsters. He lost his belts, so naturally he was hungry. Ruiz, on the other hand, showcased his lifestyle through daily vlogs. Leading up to the fight, he could be seen getting multiple haircuts a week, buying fast cars, shopping, and of course, eating. Lots and lots of eating. He assured his fans he was in good condition, but weigh-ins reveal all. Joshua showed up in Saudi Arabia lean and in shape, ready to box. Ruiz had a fresh fade, but came in at 284 pounds, far from fighting shape. Through 12 rounds, Andy struggled with his newfound weight, unable to cut off the ring and too slow to hurt his opponent. Joshua danced around him, jabbing and sniping his way to a unanimous decision victory. It was a masterclass for the Brit, and an embarrassing performance for the Mexican-American. After the fight, he admitted he didn't train as hard as he could.
I think I didn't prepare as how I should have, and you know, I gained too much weight. If we do the third fight, best believe I'm gonna get in best shape, and I'm gonna be the best shape of my life.
Like Buster.
Do you think they're even gonna like rematch though? Do you guys think they'll
Douglas
rematch or not?
before
I don't
him,
know. Who knows if
Andy
they'll
Ruiz
rematch or not?
lived like a champion,
We'll see though,
but he
man.
didn't train like one.
A lot of things was going on my play, you know.
So since the loss, what has Ruiz done to bounce back? Well, apart from getting knocked down by Chris Arreola and looking hittable against an ancient Luis Ortiz, not much. To be fair, he got the wins and put his hand speed on display, but after an incredible 2019, fighting only twice in the 5 years since is a shame. He fired the coach that made him champion, he couldn't keep up with the daily work ethic in Canelo's camp, and after pricing himself out of fights with Wilder and Fury, he's become an inactive shell of his former self. Many have called his discipline and motivation into question after noticing his lack of fights. After his first unsuccessful title challenge, he took 15 months off, and after the Joshua rematch, he was nowhere to be seen for a year and a half. Contrast this with AJ, who since losing twice to Usyk has rattled off 4 wins in 11 months, each more impressive than the last. Or Joseph Parker, who after getting brutally knocked out by Joe Joyce has won 5 in a row to put himself back in title contention. At 34 years old, Ruiz is burning his prime years, and as other heavyweights continue to improve and strive for greatness, Ruiz is fading into irrelevance. In fact, every governing body and boxing publication has him outside of their top 10, where he was a mainstay just a few years ago. But beyond his inactivity and the inability to control his weight, the biggest shame about Andy Ruiz is all of the potential fights we missed out on. Discounting everything else, Ruiz is still an exciting fighter with an incredible story. A shorter, chubby inside fighter with fast hands that gets better after he gets hurt, he introduced much needed drama into a stagnant division that refused to fight each other. Just think of all the great matchups we were robbed of. Ruiz versus Wilder, Ruiz versus Zhang, the Parker rematch, the list goes on. When Andy Ruiz shows up in shape, he's one of the most exciting fighters in the sport. As a fan of boxing, I hope to see his ring return sooner than later. I just hope he hasn't priced himself out of the sport altogether. Remember when Ruiz ate this punch from Anthony Joshua?
The champ with the right hand.
Well, Francis Ngannou took the same exact cross. Both had just gotten up from the canvas, but the result was wildly different.
Hey man, let me know what you think down below, man. We out.